Hey guys, how's it going? To the Culture Shock podcast. I'm your host, Greg. Yeah, and joining us today we have MGS2 Master 2. Fuck it. Hey Jimmy. I call you Jimmy on the other podcast. Why not fucking here?
No, you're the one that's just like coming up with random ass names.
Yeah, we have the Cinast or Sign or Alex, however you want to call him.
Listen, yes, yes, I'm Alex, hello.
We have the always lovable Darkness, Dylan.
Hi.
And the elderly guy of the group, Jonesy.
The elderly guy.
I'm as old as Jonesy, by the way.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So now we have two lungs to stay off of. Great.
Fucking Arc of Wrestling is calling me right now. I'm declining. So anyways, our topic for today is DLC gaming.
Yes, it is.
A very, I guess you could say controversial topic nowadays, at least, because it's gone to online passes and all that. You could account for online passes to be DLC now, because you have to pay for them. And I guess the main topic is, does it work or not? Is DLC needed to keep a game alive? No. So, who wants to start off? Who wants to give their opinion?
Well, I think that DLC in gaming is unnecessary, honestly, but it depends actually, because it can be split in two different ways. There's the DLC that's not necessary but is beneficial to the player. For example, expansion packs, not necessarily like map packs like for multiplayer games, but like I don't know, like
The Elder Scrolls,
say,
like Oblivion.
like the crap, yeah, exactly, like the crap that Bethesda throws out, like Oblivion and good stuff for Fallout and
I guess Oblivion would be the best example for what's shit DLC and what's great DLC. Because for the shit...
Armor.
Yeah. Fucking horse armor. Shit DLC.
So, as it goes, I think that DLC is... I think it's a great idea, and I'm glad that it exists. But there are terrible ways to implement it, like anything else.
Yeah.
I also agree that it's a good way to promote more content for the player, but how it's been used recently has been honestly complete utter bullshit. Honestly, in my opinion.
I guess
For example,
like
a good example.
There are bad
a good
ways to do
example.
DLC, but there are also really cool ways to do DLC.
Yeah.
Like
For
saying
example, a good example of bad DLC would be
I guess one of the bad ideas is probably map packs.
I don't know. I think map packs are fine.
I like map packs.
I think map packs should come free to the player.
I disagree.
You,
It's a weird situation with things like that, because the argument is usually that that kind of thing used to be free on the PC, right?
I guess, yeah. And it's still free. Some occasions the map packs are still free on the
Sure.
PC.
On some occasions, some developers will put out content that they made for free. The thing is, like, on the Xbox One, on the PS2, you just wouldn't have map packs. That content just would not get made unless you were playing something on the PC and the developer decided to develop things for it post-release, which wasn't usually the case. Whereas now, if you want to spend $10, like 4 months after the game comes out, and get these 4 new maps, you can do that. And I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of the problems is I think map packs come way too expensive. Look at the Call of Duty map packs. Aren't they like about 12 to 1,600 Microsoft points?
That's what, $20, and how many maps
That's
did you get?
15 to 20. I think 1,200 points is $15, and
Yeah.
16 is 20.
Okay, so how many maps do you get out of that?
4 old ones and 1 new one, something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't give you much.
I don't know. That sounds like $5 a map. Okay.
That seems way too expensive for me. I think a map pack. I'm pretty sure a map pack doesn't come way too expensive. I mean, there's even games like Halo. You know, they would release map packs, but you can make your own map, and you can release it online for people to
Yeah,
play.
yeah. I don't see the the difference there is that to build your own map, you have to use the tools that they put in the game, and usually you can't build great maps, whereas when they're releasing a map pack, they're doing it with new geometry, new things that professionals made and were paid to make.
But people make some
That
great
argument
maps
falls on
with
it.
those tools.
Sure, you can make some cool stuff, but you're not a professional sitting there with a fucking
Computer.
3D modeling tool building this big geometry for people to run around and shoot each other on. Whereas when the professionals do that, they kind of need to get paid, and to pay those bills, the company needs to sell that stuff. Like, you're not going to get... The idea that there are people behind this stuff working specifically on it, I think that, to me, says volumes about how it should not be free.
Okay, but
People are putting hard work into this kind of thing, and it's not like they're just slapping two boxes onto an existing map and then saying, "Give me $10."
yeah. But I don't.
Kind of doing that because they're re-releasing old maps that people have from past games. Nothing really else. Just copy and paste, and they expect players to still pay for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Updating stuff into a new engine and that kind of thing, I'm sure takes a little bit of work. And frankly, if you want to play those old maps in those old games, fucking go do it. You can still go do that. Or if you want to play them in this new game, give me money. Like, it's not a hard proposition. This is a business. Expecting that stuff for free or cheaper seems crazy.
No, the thing is, if you're expecting old maps, and if it takes them pretty much little to no effort to move the old maps, then they should probably lower the price for it. Because if you're paying full price for it, you're getting what?
the price should fluctuate with.
Okay, if you don't like the price point of that stuff, don't pay it. It's as simple as that. There are plenty of people out there who are very much willing to spend the $20 on 4 old maps and 1 new one.
But
The market has said, okay, we're fine with this price point. That's why that price point still exists.
no, it's not. It's not that the market's saying it. It's the developers saying, okay, this price is the best because people
No.
are out there buying.
market
There's
is saying
some
that
people
this is
buying
a
and there's
good-
some people not.
The market is saying we are fine with paying this $20. And what I mean by that is, there are enough people out there who will buy that map pack for $20 that anybody who says, I don't want to pay this price, can just fuck off and not pay that price. Like that, it's as simple as that. There are plenty of people who do pay that price, and that means that those developers and those publishers can put things out at that price point, and people will buy it.
I don't know, man. You could say that, yeah, there's a good amount of people to buy those type of maps, but isn't it for DLC? And I'm trying to get this correctly because I know some of the WWE games do this. If you don't have the same DLC as other players, you can't play with them.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is an instance where things could be a little bit better. Specifically, I can think of Mortal Kombat 9 that came out a while back, where if you bought the DLC characters that were available, you couldn't, and you went into matchmaking, and you got match-made with somebody who didn't have those characters, you just couldn't use them. And they put out a compatibility pack that people would have to go seek out and download, and if you downloaded it but you didn't buy the characters, you couldn't play them, but the other people who did buy them could.
Yeah.
But, like, who's going to go out and seek this compatibility pack out and download it for the convenience of others? They're not. It's a shitty solution.
That's the same
But-
thing with the WWE game. The WWE games, when it came with fan access thing, and if you pre-ordered the game, and if you pre-order, you could put the code in, and you could get like a bunch of these characters for free. Well, if you didn't pre-order the game, you would have to pay for that fan access code, which is like $15 for you to to buy it. Well, then now you have people like me who didn't buy it, who didn't pre-order it, and who's playing without all those free characters, and I can't play with my friends who got the fan access, and they're playing with all these brand new superstars, and I don't have anything.
You can't play with them at all? Like, you just can't get into a game together? Or,
Yeah.
Wow. I was thinking, like, you just couldn't, like, if you played with
WWE
them, they
servers.
I thought, like, if you didn't have those characters, you could play with them, and they just couldn't play those characters.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it goes...
That is fucked.
It's really fucked.
Like I said, there are terrible ways to implement DLC. That's one of them.
Yeah.
And I guess...
Like, I think if Microsoft would have allowed Mortal Kombat to push out a patch that just gave everybody those characters without giving them access to them, like, you still have to pay to use them, but it put those files on everybody's system so everybody could play them. I think that would have been better. Hell, I'll go one step further. If they put that content on the disc and locked it behind a paywall, that would have been better. But this post-launch compatibility pack solution is awful.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you like the idea of DLC on the CD? Because we had that uproar with the Catwoman DLC when Arkham City came out. And a lot of people were mad that you had to either bought the game... Yeah, I think it was a pre-order. You had to pre-order the game, or it just could have came with the game, and you could unlock it. But if you bought it used, you couldn't get Catwoman. Even though it was already sitting on the CD.
It wasn't, though. That was the problem with that DLC, was that the Catwoman DLC was released day one, and it was a pre-order bonus, which means it probably could have been on the disc, but it wasn't on the disc. And that's why even the people who had access to that stuff were angry, because before you played any of that, you had to put the disc in the system and then let it sit there for 20 minutes while you downloaded this 200 megabytes worth of stuff. And that is crazy. That DLC would have been better if it were on the disc.
Because Catwoman was like a very like pinpoint in that game too. Like there were easy ways to have her be implemented into it.
Yeah, it's the on-disc DLC thing. I don't think the argument with that should be that the DLC is on the disc, because that part doesn't really matter to me. The part that matters, I think, is whether or not the game that I bought is worth $60. And if I had played Arkham Asylum, or not Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, without playing that Catwoman DLC, I think I would have been happy. Like, that would have probably been fine.
That's how I was, because I bought it, I didn't pre-order it, and I bought it new. I bought it like a couple days late.
Yeah, and things like Freddy Krueger in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I don't care if you release DLC and want me to pay for it later. I think that's a cool business proposition. You continue making things for this game, and I will continue shoving money at you. But if you're going to put things on the disc and lock them behind paywalls, then it becomes an issue of this stuff that's not behind a paywall. I paid $60 for this. Is it worth $60?
I paid $60 for the game.
Right.
And if there's something on the CD that's part of the game, but I can't unlock it, is it worth the $60 to buy the game that's unlocked?
I don't think putting something behind a paywall on the disc makes the game itself less of a business proposition. You're paying $60 for the stuff that is in this game. The stuff that's behind the paywall isn't part of that game until you pay for it.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't think putting it on the disc changes the business proposition away from did I get $60 worth of enjoyment out of this game that I bought? And a lot of the time, the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no.
Well, what about what it was with the Mass Effect 3 DLC? I guess a little bit of spoilers if you haven't played it yet, or you don't know what the DLC is. But Javik, what was it? not the was he a collector?
He's a Prothean.
Prothean, yeah. He was what they discovered was he was on the disc.
Right.
His details and the character was on the disc, but his story and his quest wasn't.
Right.
It was almost like half and half. Like, so if you bought it, you bought the story.
That seems like a case where they wanted the download that was going to come later to be smaller, so they put those files on the disc.
Yeah. But even then, they had an interview with one of the guys, and it was like, is the DLC going to be on the disc? And he's like, no, the DLC isn't on the main disc. Because the guys who created it didn't finish it on time.
Part of that is PR spin. The DLC wasn't on the disc. The DLC was the mission files. And part of that is it's not really on disc DLC because the DLC isn't on the disc. So,
yeah.
Of course, they're going to deny it because if they said, yes, we're putting DLC that's available day one on the disc,
Yeah, sorry about that.
their fans would have shit themselves. A lot like
Seriously,
they
Greg?
did a lot like they did after the game came out.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Javik DLC is a sticky situation because there are bigger arguments behind that one than just these files were on the disc. So it should be part of my $60 purchase. Specifically that character.
But, a lot of people when they actually bought it, those people who bought the Javik DLC and played with Javik said that playing with Javik and not playing with Javik is two completely different scenarios. Because it's almost that Javik gave you this experience that you would never get. It gave you more information, the background story.
It's really, really not that big of a deal. Having played with Javik, it's not that big of a deal. You get maybe 10 lines of dialogue that give you some background and some more specific information about the Protheans, and you get him talking about how all of these races that are now fighting the Reapers were primitives in his time, and that's kind of it. Like, you don't get a whole lot, and the things that you do get, you can go read on a wiki page.
Did you play with Javik, Dylan?
Yes, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing what I'm guessing is you probably beat the game twice, because I'm not sure you said you played with Javik on the Mass Effect 3 podcast.
No, I did.
You did?
I only played through the game once, but I didn't unlock Javik until like halfway through.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Even the Mass Effect 3 ending, they've even come out to say that they could be coming out with the actual ending to Mass Effect 3 after the huge uproar.
Yeah.
And even, I think that's another terrible way to utilize DLC.
I don't know.
It's going to make people buy it, and that's a good business.
Well, so the thing is, if they were planning to do that from the very beginning, which I wouldn't be surprised considering it's EA,
Yeah.
but if they were doing that from the development process, then yes, I would agree. That is a shit thing to do. But that's not what it sounds like from the way the developers have been talking. The way they make it sound is Casey Hudson and the director on the game kind of wrote that last mission behind closed doors without going through the same process that the rest of the 3 games did, and that's why it disappointed a lot of people, rather than because they wanted to sell a better ending later.
Yeah.
The fact that they are going back and preparing this DLC that probably wouldn't have existed had it not been for the fan uproar. I think it's great that the technology is out there to let them do that. But you're right. I think it is a shitty thing to sell people a better ending.
Definitely. It's just...
Is it a free DLC or?
It is free. Okay. That's what they did say. It was free.
Of course, it's EA, so who knows?
No. It's been official. I think it's been officially made that it's gonna be free. The problem is, I bet you if they made you pay for it, you would have heard another uproar. Because
Probably,
people would have still bought it.
Yeah, people would
have been pissed buying it.
Right. That's the thing that works that's the kind of thing that would work for one game, because specifically with Mass Effect it would have worked, because you have a million billion fans,
Loyal fans who are loyal to the story and know it by
and they've
heart.
been playing these games since 2007,
Yeah.
and they want to see this thing through to the end, and they're going to buy that DLC one way or another. But then you kill all brand loyalty. Nothing with the Mass Effect name on it, nothing with the EA or BioWare name on it after that would ever sell DLC for anything.
Yeah.
They may not even sell the same numbers of copies of games, just no matter how good their game is. Like, that's the kind of thing that kills brand loyalty, and that's why they didn't charge you for it.
Even if it was just $1 put onto that,
Yeah.
you're still paying for an ending that should have already existed. And
The argument of should have already existed, I think, falls into a hole that...
different, yeah. But let's talk about your favorite DLCs, because, you know, I guess there's too much hate on DLC when it should be almost praised, because it does increase the lifespan. And I guess I would go first as, you know, one of my favorite DLCs is because it defines what a DLC should be. And it's Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4, The Shivering Isles. Absolutely a game that after I beat Oblivion and, you know, did just about everything, I wanted to play more, but I wasn't given that opportunity. And Oblivion is one of those launch titles on the 360 that was able to utilize the DLC function. It's not the first game to have DLC, but it was one of the first games to really shine a light on the DLC process. And the Shivering Isles was absolutely one of the best DLCs, you know, to this day that I've still played. And because it gave you, I can't remember the amount of time it gave you, but I'm pretty sure I put over about 20, 30 something hours in just the Shivering Isles alone. So, let's hear from you guys. What was your favorite DLCs?
I think my favorites are from the Fallout games and, like you said, Oblivion, and that specifically Bethesda's route they go down with DLC, and Force Armor, is usually good.
No, yeah, because Bethesda's not out there to give you DLC with just guns. You know, buy this, you know, $5 DLC and you get 3 guns and 2 shirts and a hat. They're out there that, you know, they send out DLC that give you a story.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about Bethesda.
And like the stuff from Alan Wake, the stuff that got added onto that.
Oh,
I think,
yes, those I heard were excellent.
Yeah, it's my favorite DLCs are when the developers are adding value to a thing.
Yeah.
For instance, we were talking about map packs earlier. I am not the type of person who is going to spend a whole ton of time playing Modern Warfare 3 or Gears of War 3 and just that's it. I like the single player experience more than anything else. So a map pack for me isn't a big value proposition, but I could see for somebody who spends 6 hours a day playing Call of Duty,
Yeah.
I could see 5 maps for $20. I could see that being a really cool thing. I just spent $20 and now I get way more out of this game that I play for 6 hours a day.
But from what I can understand, can't you not play with people who don't have that map?
No, you can't
right.
play with them.
If people haven't bought that map pack, they can't play on those maps.
See,
But they're
Same thing with Battlefield 3.
yeah. The thing is though, those games all have a big enough audience to sort of say, well, okay, fine, I can't play with you on this map, but I can go and play this map with 8 other dudes who are playing this game and bought this map pack because there are a billion dudes who bought this map pack.
yeah. See, that was one of my problems with when I used to play Call of Duty regularly. That I was sitting there playing with my friends, and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I just bought this map pack," and I don't have that map pack, so I guess I can't play with you. And they're like, "You should go buy it," and I'm like, I can't. I really can't. And so I sit there, and now I have to either play online with some random people or just not play at all. Which is one of the reasons why I don't play Call of Duty anymore.
That sounds like you should get better friends who aren't going to just say fuck off.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I was even getting tired of Call of Duty at that point. Like, it was just getting tiring. I couldn't stand the bullshit from it anymore.
okay, so then don't buy that map pack.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not the kind of person who wants that kind of thing. It doesn't add value to the game for me. It adds value to the game for somebody, and that's great. I'm going to go play Honest Hearts or I can't think of any other names of DLC. But the stuff in like Fallout
Brother
New Vegas,
Steel, Brother of Steel,
something
like that.
Stuff that is adding value, adding story and environments to a single player game that I already like.
Yeah.
That kind of thing I think is great.
Jimmy, how about you? What's your favorite DLC?
I would probably say the DLC that was for Castlevania Harmony Theater of Despair.
Oh shit!
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh man!
And also while we're on that topic about how certain games won't allow you to play with other individuals if they don't have like a certain character or whatnot, Castlevania patched that kind of well, because if certain people don't have that certain DLC character and they want to play with you, they'll just see like a random axe armor running around. That's
Axe Knight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like an axe knight that's you that's running around instead. So
That
basically,
sounds
play
like
with
an awful
You
solution.
don't see the DLC character, but you see the Axe
Yeah.
Knight.
That sounds like a really stupid solution, to be perfectly honest. That sounds like somebody somewhere behind the scenes needed to fix this problem and just bolted the thing on and said, fuck it, that's good enough, right? And then somebody
Yeah, it's a weird decisions for a problem, but
But I don't understand. Like, how can they not? Is it too hard to, like, with the WWE stuff again? What really pisses me off, like, you could have bought the fan access thing, and there's some extra guys you could buy. You could buy every single guy, and your friend or someone that you know has every single guy except one guy, and he doesn't have the money to buy that guy. Or you could have two people missing one guy, but they're missing different people, so they can't play with each other. When you could just go to the create a superstar and create that same wrestler and just make them look exactly the same, make them have the same entrance, make them have the same moves, and literally be perfect.
That sounds like that game is just awful. But I think most of the problem that we see with that kind of thing, like especially with Mortal Kombat and other fighting games that release DLC characters, is that a lot of the time Microsoft or Sony, Sony's a little bit better about it, but Microsoft and Sony won't let a company push out a big patch that puts a bunch of stuff on somebody's hard drive. And I think that's a real bummer.
Yeah. That kind of does suck.
Personally, I like the solution, or I like the way League of Legends handles skins and things.
I can't remember how they do it.
They basically, when you install their game, you get all of the files for all of the skins and everything put on your hard drive. And if you want to, you can go play around with files and swap things out so that you see certain skins as certain other skins.
Oh, that's sweet.
But that's a client-side thing, and nobody else is going to see that.
Yeah.
But if you pay them $10 and buy a skin, then you can set yourself to that skin, and then everybody sees it. And I think they can get away with that a lot easier because they're on the PC, and people's hard drives are expected to not be 2 megabytes.
Yeah.
Whereas on things like the Xbox, you have very limited space, so suddenly that's kind of a problem.
Yeah. Jonesy, what about you? What's your favorite DLC?
up until now, I forgot about Harmony of Despair DLC. That's one of my favorites. If I had to pick another one, I kind of enjoyed the Burnout Paradise DLC. The island, which was kind of small, but I enjoyed it, and They also, let's see, what were they? They couldn't use the actual cars, but they made like replicas of them, like the DeLorean, the Ghostbusters car.
Oh yes, I forgot about that.
What was the other one?
Batmobile.
Kit.
They should have done Batmobile.
What was the other one? I think there was one more.
The Burnout Paradise.
Yeah. And then they made, and then my favorite ones are actually the toy versions of the cars. They're like third or fourth of the size, but they have like the same. Well, actually no, they have they're slower and stuff, but you really can't crash them.
Yeah, you have the DeLorean, you have Knight Rider, Kit.
Yeah.
The Ecto one, and
Ecto one, yeah. I can't remember what the other one was.
The Hunter Cavalry Bootlegger, based on the General
The
Lee
bootlegger,
from
yeah, the bootlegger.
Dukes and Hazzard. Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, I basically bought all the DLC for that except for the party pack. That's about it.
The pony?
No.
Oh.
Except the party pack.
I think they said the pony pack. I'm like,
offline and stuff
Jonesy, you...
with friends.
Yeah.
I played the absolute hell out of that game.
I really like racing DLC, race car DLCs, because, you know, it's a good way, because you don't have to. It's like one of those things like a map pack. You don't have to buy them, but what's better, they're gonna put like your favorite car up on DLC, and you're like, you know, I really wish I could be driving that in my game right now. And so you just go and buy it. Like, you actually have a connection to that DLC because it's like your favorite car, or your dad used to own that car and you kind of want to drive it.
That reminds me, Forza, what they do is when they release a new car pack, they give away one free car.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
For every pack that comes out, one of the cars is free and you can download it.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's how I think that's how you do DLC, right?
Yeah. They entice you, like, oh, you can have this car.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess there's a lot of people, and it feels like a lot of this DLC nonsense is coming from people who are connected to EA. But I feel like EA is really fucking whoring out DLC.
It's expected point from EA.
I mean, EA is very ruthless and very upfront about saying, we want your fucking money, and that's all we care about. So it's not at all a surprise that...
Same thing with Activision. Remember when Activision got voted like the worst company of all time? That was like news a couple weeks ago, and they came out and says, we may be the worst company of all time, but people are still going to be buying our grade A titles.
That was EA.
That was EA?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was EA.
yeah,
it was EA.
But they're right. People are going to keep buying their stuff, and that's all they care about because they are a large corporation that has to answer to shareholders.
Yeah.
That's not surprising at all that they are going to be that upfront about it.
That's and they're so cocky about it too. It's like people are still going to be coming out and buying our shit.
They're going to buy their stuff.
Yeah, they're the ones who originated, you know, coming out with the same game every single year with the Madden shit. The only thing that they change are the teams and like the slight touches up here and
you
there.
know what? People are perfectly happy to pay $60 next year to go buy the new Madden game.
Yep.
And fine, great. If you think you're getting $60 worth out of that game, have at it. More power to you. I'm going to be over here playing Fallout. It's as simple as that. If it wasn't making the money, they wouldn't put that out.
Yeah.
So, clearly, somebody somewhere thinks that is a good value proposition, and okay, sure, fine.
How much was Horse Armor when it came out? It was like...
I think it was like $15.
Was it? I thought it was only $2.40.
It might have been. I don't know. That was a while ago.
Because a lot of their other DLCs, which it gave you like a player home, and like a really like in-depth player home, it wasn't much. It was like $10 for one of those player homes, I believe, with like a small mission connected to it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a while ago.
But yeah, but you know what Jimmy just posted in chat, the Mass Effect 3 endings, the DLC ending was supposed to cost money.
And that's not surprising at all.
And
It's EA.
I bet you they got so much hate mail that they, this is probably not a good idea.
Right. They saw the market reaction and then were like, well, shit, we need to do something that doesn't completely fucking suck before we get people burning down our offices. So this is free now.
Yeah. And aren't they releasing the Mass Effect, a new Mass Effect game, calling it like the extended cut?
No, that's
Maybe.
what the DLC is called. It's called the
Wouldn't-
Is
extended,
it just the DLC?
yeah, the DLC is called Extended Cut.
I thought they were going to be releasing Mass Effect 3 again, but then calling it Mass Effect 3 extended cut version.
I would have done if they do that just for the people that haven't bought the game yet.
Yeah. So you don't have to
Well
go
done.
in and actually download it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like an
That's
Ultimate Edition or what?
Yeah, that's like releasing a Game of the Year edition or whatever. Like, whatever, that's fine. I think you should wait until there's more DLC out to do that kind of thing, but sure, why not?
Yeah.
I guess.
So,
That's another thing is things like Borderlands. That game did DLC really well.
oh yeah, but they started, what I read for Borderlands, because they recently did an interview for Borderlands 2, was like, we weren't planning on Borderlands to be such a big game when it came out.
Yeah.
And so we didn't plan for DLC to ever be released for the game. But when people, started buying and asking for DLC, people ask for DLC for games that they like.
Yeah.
And so they're like, when people started asking for it, shit, we just sat down and we started whipping out all these DLCs as quick as we can. And sooner or later, they came out with like 6 DLCs for the game in a matter of months.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane, especially that Borderlands scenario, because that was an original IP coming out of a developer that never made a big hit like that before.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they made this big open world game that millions of people played, and now they're suddenly like, oh shit, now we can put a bunch of work towards this post-release stuff, and then people will buy it. Like, that's a cool thing, because that's a situation where before DLC could exist, that game would have come out, and it would have made a big hit, and then you would have had to wait till the sequel came out to get any more out of it.
Yeah.
Terrible boss fights and all. Whereas in this day and age, you have $10, $15 packs of DLC, and you get really cool stuff out of it because those guys put blood, sweat, and tears into that DLC.
Yeah.
Where
Oh, okay.
a lot of stuff gets released and it's kind of half-assed.
Yeah. I guess you couldn't say Gearbox hasn't put... I mean, they did come out with the Brothers in Arms games.
Yeah,
Those were kind of successful.
yeah, but nothing on the same level as Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands was just way out of their expectations. And it really did shoot them up as a very mainstream developer. And then they came out with Duke Nukem and...
Yeah, they acquired to put that out. The quality of that game is not indicative of
Borderlands.
Gearbox at all.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get that game out. That's not their
Right.
fault.
That game was passed around to so many developers that by the
It
time
was-
they got it, it was more of
3D
all right, what can we
ROMs.
do in like 6 months to push this game out and just have it out? More filters. All right, cool.
It was 3D ROMs, Piranha Games, Gearbox, and Triptech Games.
Yeah, that. Not only is that not a great pedigree of developers to be passed around with, that's a lot of developers to be passed around with over 13 friggin' years.
Yeah.
So, I'm not at all surprised that game turned out to be shit.
after a 13-year wait, is it? If you ever thought that game was going to be great, you kind of should have been slapped a little bit.
Yeah. If that game was going to be great, it would have come out.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
But let's expansions. I guess we should talk about next, because expansions you could say are almost like here's a good game that does DLC. I'm not sure if you guys ever played the Civilization games.
Yes. Fucking love Civilization.
As of right now, and I'm going to open up my Steam and I'm going to look at my Civilization 5. I have played a total of 262 hours of Civilization 5.
Jesus.
No life.
I'm obsessed. My favorite game of all time is Civilization 4. Civilization 5 is in my top 10. The game recently just started, budging into, because the Civilization games were fucking great with expansions.
Right.
Except for the first expansion for Civilization 4, which was Colonization. That was a shitty fucking DLC. Expansion. But, like, you had Beyond the Sword, which literally made that game one of the greatest strategy games of all time. Bar none. And then now you have Civilization 5 come out, and they've been recently, they've been experimenting with DLC. So I bought every single DLC for Civilization 5 because I fucking love the game. Their DLC is Civilizations. And they cost, I can't remember how much I paid. They're $7, $7 to $8 for DLC. Each civilization.
Alright. That seems fair.
Perfectly fair. I want to see if I can find it really quickly. Here we go. Game of the Year edition. They released a Game of the Year edition, which was great because it came with pretty much almost all of the DLCs. I think there was like 2 missing or something like that.
Man, now I just want to play Civilization 5.
Yeah. Oh my god, how many fucking... Well, I think we already know how many hours I've already put into the game. Like right here, it's for the DLC. They currently have 11 DLCs set up. For every civilization, it's $5. Babylon, $5. The Polynesia, $5. Vikings, $5. And
Cool.
then for they did a double civilization and scenario pack, which came with Spain and the Inca. That was $7.50. Really,
Like a really good deal.
and the maps, they came up with like map packs, right? Same, $3. And they came with like, you want to buy a map of Asia here for $3. You want to buy the Americas map pack, it's $3. Really cheap, but I think the reason why they're so cheap is because it's on the computer. And I think that's when it comes to that's when it all comes down to the pricing. I think the reason why DLC costs just so much more, and this is just a speculation probably, it costs more on the 360 is because you also have to send that DLC into inspection through 360 to see if it's like, they could do it and everything.
Well, part of it is that it's on this system that can only handle certain transactions. Like, you see most stuff charging 1,200 or 1,500 points, or 1,600 points rather, because that point system is in place, and that's the easiest correlation between real dollars and fake points, is to just say, all right, this thing costs $10. All right, this thing costs $15, and that's this many points. Here you go. Rather than just saying, fucking, all right, we're gonna release this for 650 points because that's $7.50.
Yeah.
Good luck figuring that out with the point system. Like, it's partly that, and it's also partly that, like I said earlier, the market tolerates higher prices. The market tolerates most DLC costing $10, whereas thinking back to when DLC was first becoming a real big thing, if something was more than $5, people flipped their shit.
Yeah.
Whereas now, people will gladly pay $10, $15, $20 for a piece of DLC. Like, it's just a shift in people's perspective on what that DLC is worth. So, I don't know. It being on the PC, I don't think plays a real big role. I think the Civilization developers just aren't dicks. They don't really have to answer to any publishers or anybody to.
Really, the only one they have to answer to is Valve, and Valve is a very laid back
Yeah, Valve will let you put stuff out for free if you want to.
Yeah,
Which is
you know,
more
fuck
than
it.
more than we can say for Microsoft.
Yeah. Microsoft was like, I need a little bit of that money, so pass it over. Valve, could you even say Valve was probably, you know, there was so much hopes for Valve to release a console of their own. And there's even, like, some papers coming out saying, like, stuff with, like, the Steam box and shit like that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really successful, honestly.
Probably, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't like the idea of a box that you just buy and it hooks up to a TV, and then you have a Steam-like interface, and you can play all these games that are released through Steam, like they were PC games, without having to go through the hassle of building a PC and all that kind of thing. I think that is a really cool idea, and they would probably make a lot of money if they did it. But I'm not a businessman, nor am I a worker at Valve, so maybe the realities of that are a little bit different than what...
Like, I can't carry around my desktop around because it kind of weighs a ton because I build it on my own. And the fact that I could carry around like a box, probably the size of a 360, a keyboard and a mouse, and, you know, I go to Miami for one of my family trips and I sit down and I could play Civilization over there when I'm sick or like I got a fucking hangover from the night before.
Yeah, that kind of thing is... it's an exciting idea, but Valve has already said that they're not... They currently have no plans. That might be a lie, because they're bad.
Yeah, they're
They've
fucking
said that they currently
bastards.
have no plans.
When is Valve ever like not lied to us?
It's true.
They lie so when they announce it, it becomes big announcement and people are
Right.
surprised.
And,
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and
You guys go to E3. Maybe there'll be something there.
If they don't announce, I swear to God, they have Counter-Strike coming out. Okay, they
I
have.
bet their announcement is Counter-Strike 3. I
Well,
would laugh my ass off.
no, they already
Free.
they already have. I heard what I say at my store is Valve doesn't know the number 3. They can only count up to 2.
Right. Valve can't count to 3.
Yeah. And so I'm just hoping in the next 2 years there's some sort of variation of Half-Life coming out. Some sort of variation. I don't care what it is. I just want to know that they're still thinking about Half-Life.
I've stopped giving a shit about Half-Life. It's been so long since Episode 2. that
I barely played any Half-Life.
Yeah, I really liked Half-Life 2. I really liked Episode 1. I really liked Episode 2. But it's been so long since those came out.
I was saying the same thing about Skyrim. I was saying Bethesda gave up on the Elder Scrolls series, and they were never going to fucking release it.
Giving up on Half-Life, I just don't care about that series anymore. Whereas with something like the Elder Scrolls, like, yeah, it's going to be 4, 5, maybe 6 years between games. But you know what? Every single time a new one of those has come out, that I played it for 200 plus hours. So, guess what? I'm probably going to buy Elder Scrolls 6
Yeah.
and Fallout 4.
Oh man, Fallout 4.
And whatever that new they announced was Dishonesty or whatever.
Dishonored.
Dishonored.
Yeah. That's gonna look pretty
That looks
interesting.
fucking awesome, by the way.
So DLC can be great when used rightly, I guess. Was there any DLC that pissed you guys off? This is how we should end this podcast. What's the what's the DLC that you wanted that yet you heard of or like you kind of thought about, and then when they actually released it, it was god awful shit?
Like, yeah, the only one that I can think of that really got on my nerves was Horse Armor. But,
Really?
yeah. But I also don't pay attention to a lot of games in their DLC, so...
I could probably even say Horse Armor as well, because the fact that it wasn't even released with the game, and it's such a small thing too, with all the amount of loot that's inside Oblivion.
Awful that they would put money for that. You get to put armor on your horse. Like, that idea sounds ridiculous that they would charge money for that, but Valve lets you
People
put
buy
hats
it.
on your dude. So
Well, you know how they fixed that in
they didn't
Skyrim,
play.
right?
What?
You know how they fixed that in Skyrim, right?
No.
Horses are near impossible to kill. Like,
Oh, right, yeah.
I went in, like, I was riding my horse, and a dragon came up from above, and I just got off my horse. The horse goes up, starts beating the shit out of the dragon, and I kill the dragon before my horse even, like, dies.
Lol. So yeah, Horse Armor's the only one I can think of. What about you guys?
Jones, you can't think of anything?
Not off the top of my head.
Can't. I don't know. There's a lot, there's a lot of DLC I could probably call crap. But it's mostly just the multiplayer stuff. Like, I can understand you're saying, like, if just don't buy it. But I kind of feel like if you're going to make a multiplayer DLC, you gotta add some, like, single-player aspects to it, I guess.
No, you don't.
You don't?
As proven by the market. Like I said, if something isn't adding the value proposition that you want it to add, don't buy it. Like, it's as simple as that. Because there are plenty of other people who will go buy it.
I don't know. I guess. DLC. Is there anything else? Any final comments you want to do on this? Or should we just end this? It's almost up to an hour already. I'm surprised. Oh, and look who it is. Fucking near the end of the podcast,
He's not in the call.
Otto jumps onto Skype.
That's how it works. That's why you put a fan next to it. That's what I do.
See, mine doesn't overheat because I have like 6 fans I installed on my fucking computer. So, I guess thank you everybody. Unless he's gonna jump in, let me ask him really quickly. Sorry for this long pause. I'm trying to think of another game that really does shit on DLC a lot, or that had problems with DLC in the past. You know what game that doesn't really do DLC? I guess The Witcher, almost. Did The Witcher ever come with DLC, or did it just...
I don't think it came with DLC, but I could have sworn that there was a ton of stuff released for The Witcher 2.
Yeah. Or even Risen. Risen was one of those games. It's coming out with an expansion soon, isn't it? It was kind of like The Assassin something. Or let me see if I can check that really quickly. Risen 2. Dark Waters. Dark Water is almost like another expansion to the Risen game, which I found really interesting. And you don't see games like you don't see console games ever doing expansions. Maybe if we saw an expansion to like Mass Effect 3 where you could play as a Quarian or like a Solarian. I think
I don't know. I think
give you
I
like a
think
different
DLC just fills
experience,
that
but
market space is the thing that we see is that DLC is now just filling the market space that used to be filled by expansion packs.
yeah.
For instance, Mass Effect 2, things like Project Overlord and Firestorm and that kind of thing, like, I think that fills the role of an expansion pack.
Okay. Well, I guess we're done here, because Otto is being a total douche. Near the end, brother, near the end. I guess we'll end it. Thanks everybody for joining us. Next topic, I guess. Let's check the current standings of where we are in the culture shock. I think I've already been bumped to page 2, son of a bitch. Culture shock right here. We are currently standing at the Mega 64 and Rooster Teeth. That's closed. The SpongeBob is closed. and anime is closed. The ones that are open are the Sonic series. Sonic series still has 2 more spots open. Star Wars still has 3 spots open. Social networking website, that's been on forever. I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking that out or not. It has 3 spots open. And the tester has 3 spots open. Sign up whenever you can, guys. I'm going to be taking DLC Gaming off because this episode is done. The next episode you guys should be looking out for will be... I'm going to go for Mega 64 and Rooster Teeth. That's going to be your next episode, guys. Thank you for joining me, joining all of us for this DLC cast. Watch out for the next episode sometime next week.
Otto has best timing.
Oh, look, Otto's in here. Otto, since you made it so late, you want to give any quick comments on DLC?
Let's see. Basically, my thoughts are summed up that DLC after release, if it's developed after the actual game's release, perfectly fine if it's extending the content of a worthy title and whatnot. But DLC that's added or unlocked by purchasing is kind of ridiculous. And I don't know what I missed in this the whole entire thing, but that's pretty much my thoughts on it. And that's pretty much what I...
Pretty much what you just said is what we covered. Yeah. I guess we're pretty much done here, guys. Thanks again. Appreciate it. And let's end this. Bye.